fourth semester. I'm especially grateful to all that who have come here today. Anand Swarup Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu, Jambavati Devi, and of course our crew of Satya Sankalpa, and Akhil, and Ramananda Saka Prabhu. And of course, those who have joined online. I can't see you yet, but thank you and welcome to this particular session, a very important session. While it's being set up, we'll start off with our Mangalacharan prayers, and then we can get started. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. This book that we are going to read is called The Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada translated or summarized one of the most important works of our previous acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, who wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Rupa Goswami at Prayag, and on the banks of the Dashashwamedha Ghat, he expounded the entire science of devotional service. And it is mentioned, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. When we sing that famous Mangalacharan prayers, Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam, he knew the innermost desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam. And then he established, knowing the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wrote this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We'll get into what the book is, but we are so fortunate that we have the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami. And we'll come to that, why do we need to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Why is it considered to be like the most important text for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Of course, we have Srimad Bhagavatam, but why? So those things we'll discuss in this class. The first class is going to be today very foundational. I wish we had more devotees join, but this is one of the most foundational classes in our in our series, and it is extremely beneficial from exam perspective. All right. So, but before we start, usually I start the fourth semester with a song glorifying Srila Rupa Goswami, and if we can just okay, thank you. So if you go down all the way, we'll just do the translation first and then go back. The lotus feet of Sri Rupa Manjari are my treasure, my devotional service, and my object of worship. They give my life meaning, and they are the life of my life. They are the perfection of rasa, and they are the perfection worthy of attainment. They are the very law of the Vedic scriptures for me. They are the Vedic, they are the meaning of all my fasts and penances and my silent uttering of my mantras. They are the basis of religion and activities. By the purifying process of favorable devotional service, one will attain perfection and with these two eyes be able to see. His transcendental form is shining like moonlight in my heart, and my heart therefore shines and reciprocates. In other words, the ordinary moon lights up the night and its shine illuminates other objects, but the moon of effulgence of the form of Sri Rupa Manjari shines into the heart and makes the heart also shine back to the spiritual sky. This moon shines not only in the night time, but in the day and night. Your absence from my vision is like a dose of strong poison, and I will suffer till the end of my life. Narottam Das Thakur says, please give me your mercy and the shade of your lotus feet. Okay. Preeti Gaurangi, welcome. All right. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Shei Mora Shampada Shei Mora Bhajan Pujana Shri Rupa Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Shei Moro Shampada Shei Moro Bhajan Pujana Shei Moro Pranadhana Shei Moro Yabharana Shei Moro Jiva Nirjivana Shei Moro Pranadhana Shei Moro Yabharana Shei Moro Jiva Nirjivana Shei Moro Rasho Nidhi Shei Moro Vancho Siddhi Shei Moro Vedera Dharama সেই ব্রত সেই তপ সেই মোর মন্ত্র জপ সেই মোর ধর্ম করম। অনুকূল হবে বিধি সেই পদে হইবে সিদ্ধি নিরখিব এই দুই নয়নে। সেই রূপ মাধুরী রসি প্রাণ কুবলয় শশী প্রফুল্লিত হবে নিশিদিনে। তুয়া দর্শনয়াহি গারালে জারলে দেহি চিরদিন তাপিত জীবন। হাহা রূপ কর দয়া দেহ মরে পদ ছায়া নরোত্তম লইল শরণ। হাহা রূপ কর দয়া দেহ মরে পদ ছায়া নরোত্তম লইল শরণ। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva. Hare Krishna. So, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was, as I mentioned, written by Srila Rupa Goswami under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the book has 2,129 verses total. And you can start the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you. And if you click the next, please. All right. And the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided into 4 parts, and we'll come to that point as well. Just like an ocean that is divided into 4 parts, the eastern direction, the southern direction, the northern direction, and the western direction. Similarly, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has been divided into 4 different directions. So what we are going to study, so the eastern direction, let's do the eastern direction. Now, each of the ocean, there is ocean and there is waves. And technically, Srila Rupa Goswami has translated the word as lahari. In Sanskrit, lahari means waves. So, yes, I'll forward this. So, the eastern portion is the first, or there are 4 waves in the eastern side of the ocean. And the first wave is called Samanya Bhakti, or the characteristics of pure devotional service. That is, qualities of pure bhakti. That is, and if you see in the actual Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, on the right side in the green, you will see the actual shlokas. So if you can see, the eastern side has been told 1, if you see the first 1 in the bracket, and then the chapter is 1, or the wave is 1, and the shloka number is 1. So the part 1 is 1.1.1 through 46, which means 46 verses cover the first wave of Nectar of Devotion. And similarly, you can see the numbers. When I bring up the numbers, that is not the important point. The reason is we are not going to study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but we are going to study Nectar of Devotion, and I'll tell you why the difference is and how the difference is. So I'm just giving you the layout of the slides. So there are 4 parts, or the 4 waves in the eastern part, which is Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. And then the next slide, if you can go, is Sadharan. Sadharan side is, these are the 5 waves which are in the Sadharan side, which is called Vibhava, Anubhava, Satvika Bhava, Vyabhichari Bhava, and Sthayi Bhava. These are the 5 things. I want to emphasize we are not going to read all these things as part of Bhakti Sastri. Bhakti Sastri will cover only the eastern portion, right? So this is just for your information. This is the layout of the land. The reason I am bringing all this up is, what is the goal? Why am I taking initiation? Why am I following rules and regulations? Why am I supposed to give up sense gratification and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Why is it, what is the purpose? Is there a purpose, or is this meaningless chanting every single day? What is the end goal of that particular, my efforts? Oh, okay, it's love of God, but do you even know what love of God means? Is it some one stroke of emotion that came in the heart and that becomes the love of Godhead? Or are there any meaningful insights and expressions of that love of Godhead that I can experience within myself and others? And how do they behave? What sort of relationships can we have with Krishna? And what is the quality, nature, and symptoms of those relationships? If you don't know all these things, then love of God, it just becomes practically a very, very open for all definition with no clear-cut thing. And people think we are in love of God without even knowing what it is. So the whole idea of this Nectar of Devotion is to deeply understand. Every Gaudiya Vaishnava, we should at least know what it is written in this book. So for example, we have discussed in the eastern section, we have discussed sadhana, samanya bhakti, which is the general topic of pure devotion, sadhana bhakti, and it's extensive, sadhana bhakti. Then we have bhava bhakti and then prema bhakti. So you reach the love of God, then what? That's it? No. How do they react? How do they interact? What are the feelings? So this is the vibhava, anubhava, these are all the different things. After expressing how the love of God in terms of feeling happens, the next slide, please, you can see the 5 different rasas with Krishna. The 5 rasas that are mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu are Shanta, Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, and Madhurya. Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. These are the 5 primary relationships with Krishna. And then, if you take the next slide, this is the western. Now the northern side, this is the 7 secondary relationships with Krishna. For example, every single interaction that Krishna has with any character in Bhagavatam is in one of these sections. For example, demons, when they attack Krishna, it could be chivalry, it could be terror. So you can see that there are 7 secondary rasas, starting with laughing, hasya rasa, adbhuta rasa, which is astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, dread, ghastliness. So these are the 7. And the last 2 portions, Srila Rupa Goswami says compatible and incompatible mellows. And then he says rasa bhasha. So this is the overall layout of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So again, as I said, we are only going to focus on the first 19 chapters that correspond to the eastern ocean of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So far, so good. All right, next. I will write a little bit. The reason why Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion 4th semester is very challenging for Bhakti Shastri, and I'll tell you why. It is extremely delightful, but at the same time, it can be very confusing. I want to remove that confusion so that we can go ahead. So, Srila Prabhupada, he wrote the summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, let me go back to the style of writing of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami, he broadly laid out the whole book, like we mentioned. Eastern, he laid out like that. And when we get into it, the book, he introduces the concepts. And I will give one example of that. We will discuss at length. He'll introduce a concept. Then he will actually bring various proofs from various scriptures, and he will present the proof of the concept that Srila Rupa Goswami is introduced. That is his style. And if you see the book, it is very, very well thought, laid out. For an engineer, you can lay it out in terms of the hierarchy trees, the decision trees, or you can it's very beautifully laid out. But Srila Prabhupada, he summarized all these concepts. And because it is not as systematically spread out in Nectar of Devotion, reading can be very confusing. But actually, it is not. So that has to be kept in mind. For the 3 semesters that we read, we had Sanskrit verses, word-to-word meaning, translation, purports, right? Ishopanishad and Upadeshamrita, or Nectar of Instruction, in the first semester, Bhagavad Gita. In the 4th semester, when you hit, there is nothing Sanskrit, there is nothing, and it's not laid out, it can be very confusing. So my request to you is, the best part is this though, it is just 153 pages for the entire semester. So read ahead of time and we can discuss in the class. That is one way of doing it. And of course, I'll also explain as we go along in terms of how it is laid out. As I mentioned, we are covering only 19 chapters in this Bhakti Shastri course. The entire Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada has split up into 51. But the caveat is, we read 19 chapters plus the preface and introduction. So that, don't forget that word. We will discuss that at length. So it is preface, introduction, and 19 chapters. Because devotees will read from chapter 1, but actually Srila Prabhupada starts off translating the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the introduction itself. So there are many verses that are mentioned in the introduction. Why and how? Don't ask me. So, and for one concept, Srila Rupa Goswami introduces multiple verses to give different nuances. So you will see Srila Prabhupada writes one thing, and then he'll say in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. You're like 3 or 4 continuous references to Bhagavatam. That is because Srila Rupa Goswami has introduced 3 or 4 verses from Bhagavatam to highlight one point in a different nuanced way. So that's why you will see it will be laid out like that. I will take the questions in the end because I have a lot of ground to cover, and I'll tell you why. And if you need a break, just let me know. We'll take a break. But you know what? I'll just take 2 or 3 questions before we go ahead. Any questions right now? Yes, Mataji. Jai Mataji. Oh, Mike, we have online. Online, how many members are there? Please tell me. Huh? Many? Okay. All right. All right, Jayamata.
So, yeah. Prabhuji, in terms of explanation in the book, does Nectar of Devotion has more than what Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu book has in terms of a scripture book?
Yes, Srila Prabhupada, more in the sense, it is more contextual to the present times. Srila Prabhupada has added few things that will help the modern reader understand, and he is able to translate it. There are some realizations, there are some, if your question is it an exact word-to-word translation? No, it's a summary study. And I'll tell you a little bit in that context as well. Because he has taken I'll tell you why. In Bhagavad Gita, we find there is a verse, there is a translation, and there is a purport. And it's a very clear delineation Srila Prabhupada gives, saying that the translation happens here, and these are my realizations in the purport. In the Bhakti Rasa, in the Nectar of Devotion, usually these two are mixed, and the differentiation might not happen. So that's why Srila Prabhupada introduces the explanations of the previous acharyas as well. So it's not exactly about word translation. One other point. Please use this copy. There are older versions of Nectar of Devotion. The one you see probably on Veda base. No, and the cover, I'm talking only in terms of cover. This is the latest one. Use this one, please. The reason I ask of this is because there was a very incorrect thing that was made, that was changed in the 15th chapter. When we come to 15th chapter, I'll explain what was that. And to give you a hint, it is Raganuga and Ragatmika, but please use this one. All right. Does everybody have a Nectar of Devotion copy? Okay, Jai Mataji, you can see me afterwards. No other questions? No. Yes. Another Swarup Prabhu.
Logistical question, Prabhuji. Will the meetings be recorded in case we want to come back to it later?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
One point I wanted to add is that yes, we moved it to 8:30 in the morning because I could find that 1:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday was, it was challenging. All your exalted souls are great. I found myself challenging for myself, so I said make sure that we can do it a little early. Okay. Next. Thank you. All right. Next slide, please. Okay. So when we map from then Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu to Srila Prabhupada, we had 4 waves. Like, to recap, Bhakti Rasamrita, and why ocean, we'll come to that as well. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is like an ocean which has the eastern, the southern, the western, and the northern. It starts east, south, west, and north. And in the eastern, we had 4 waves, which is Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. That mapping in Nectar of Devotion is the first chapter, including introduction, is Samanya Bhakti. The chapters 2 through 16 is, thank you, and 17 and 18 and 19, excellent. So that is the division that happens here. And then, next slide, please. Okay. So we start off with the preface. In preface, Srila Prabhupada actually starts off by introducing the title itself. What does the title mean? Bhakti, Rasa, Amrita, and Sindhu. So Srila Prabhupada says in the preface that Bhakti is translated as devotional service. And one of the unique characteristics in ISKCON is that Bhakti is translated as devotional service, not as devotion. And why is that? We will explain that as well. But Bhakti is translated as devotional service. And Rasa is a kind of mellow. In fact, in the 20th chapter of this book, Srila Prabhupada says there is no English translation equivalent for rasa. Because what is rasa? In a nutshell, rasa is the pleasure or satisfaction we derive from doing some service. A mundane example is the mother's happiness when she feeds the child. It's technically speaking, mother did not eat the food. Mother did not prepare the food for herself. But she prepared the food for the child and she fed the child. And there is a satisfaction or a mellow. And Srila Prabhupada writes that this kind of satisfaction is as a mundane satisfaction. And he gives the example that a man works very hard, or a woman in the modern times works very hard to feed the family, and the family is fed and taken care of. You get a special type of happiness, and that is called rasa. Srila Prabhupada writes that that people work hard to maintain this kind of rasa, but later they feel disgusted and they want a change, right? Everybody, a software engineer working really hard, wants to go on a vacation. And technically, Srila Prabhupada calls it bhoga and tyaga. There is alternatingly bhoga and there is alternatingly tyaga. That kind of rasa is happening, but that is in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada writes that that kind of rasa doesn't endure. For example, if things change, then there is no longer happiness that comes out of it. But when you serve Krishna, because people don't know how or where to repose that kind of service and get that kind of happiness, and if you can repose that happiness in Krishna, then that gives ultimate happiness. And because that kind of happiness is not perishable, is perpetual, it never dies. That is why the word Amrita is used. Mrit means death, Amrit means deathless, perpetual, eternal. So that is the reason when we start serving Krishna in pure devotion, that is never lost. The same thing is echoed by Krishna in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So it's mentioned the same thing. Right? So that is Amrita, eternal or perpetual, and Sindhu is ocean. Ocean, and that's the reason Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami has made it into like the eastern part of the ocean, the western part, and the chapters or the subtopics within that, he called it as the waves. So that is why it is called. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was instructing Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, when they asked them about bhakti, he said, the devotional service to Krishna is like an unlimited ocean. I can just take one drop to give you some taste. So that is another reason why this whole book is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Right? So that is where the preface portion happens. Let me see if there is any beautiful gems. Every word that Srila Prabhupada writes is a gem, but let me see if I missed something. Actually, let's pull up. Let's pull up preface, and before Prabhupada end of the preface, at the very end, the second to last paragraph. So we can start with Jambavati, you can start, actually the third before paragraph, you can start with the Nectar of Devotion. It's on this page. Say the Nectar of Devotion, the fourth line. The Nectar of Devotion teaches all men.
The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything, everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life. As far as material necessities are concerned, the human civilization at the present moment is very much advanced in living comfortably. But still we are not happy because we are missing the point. The material comforts of life alone are not sufficient to make us happy. The vivid example is America, the richest nation of the world, having all facilities for material comfort, is producing a class of men completely confused and frustrated in life. I am appealing herewith to such confused men to learn the art of devotional service as directed in the Nectar of Devotion, and I am sure that the fire of material existence burning within their hearts will be immediately extinguished. The root cause of our dissatisfaction is that our dormant loving propensity has not been fulfilled despite our great advancement in the materialistic way of life. The Nectar of Devotion will give us practical hints how we can live in this material world perfectly, engaged in devotional service, and thus fulfill all our desires in this life and the next. The Nectar of Devotion is not presented to condemn any way of materialistic life, but the attempt is to give information to religionists, philosophers, and people in general how to love Krishna. One may live without material discomfiture, but at the same time, he should learn the art of loving Krishna.
So that is the point. This is a beautiful point. One may, can you repeat that word statement, please?
One may live without material discomfiture, but at the same time, he should learn the art of loving Krishna.
This is where, especially in a society that we had in the past when Srila Prabhupada was there, where devotees were engaged full-time in the temple and they practically had no other engagement, but where it's moving from the temple-based congregation to actually home-based congregation, this is really important. This is really important because we cannot neglect both, but at the same time, if you advance in spiritual life, yes, you can neglect the material discomfiture. You can live at any point of time. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were the prime exemplars. They were living, actually they wouldn't even get attached to a tree. They were living underneath a tree and they said, we shouldn't get attached to this tree. So every night they would go change a different tree. And they would beg with whatever they could get and they would sustain. In fact, there are so many stories. If I go on that tangent, we'll never make much progress in covering what is there mentioned here. So, Preeti Gaurangi, if you can read, actually the one thing I wanted to do was the previous one. The Nectar of Devotion teaches all men. It is the chapter paragraph prior to this, sorry. If you go up, yeah, Akhil, I'll tell you. Go up a little bit more. The nectar of devotion, yep, the nectar of devotion teaches till the end of that paragraph. The nectar of, no, hold. Should we do that as well? Yeah, let's do that. Our loving propensity, go all the way. You can do the entire chapter, please. That's important, actually. Yes, please. You have the mic? And then after that, Rupali Masji, and then Jaya, and then we can go.
Our loving propensity expands just as a vibration of light or air expands, but we do not know where it ends. The nectar of devotion teaches us the science of loving every one of the living entities perfectly by the easy method of loving Krishna. We have failed to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempts as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand it with a cool head. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform the simple and natural method of loving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. It is like pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to one's stomach. The method of pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying foodstuffs to the stomach is universally scientific and practical, as every one of us has experienced. Everyone knows well that when we eat something, or in other words, when we put foodstuffs in the stomach, the energy created by such action is immediately distributed throughout the whole body. Similarly, when we pour water onto the root, the energy thus created is immediately distributed throughout the entirety of even the largest tree. It is not possible to water the tree part by part, nor is it possible to feed the different parts of the body separately. The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything, everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life.
Thank you. And the one chapter prior, we are going a little backwards, but we'll know what it is. One chapter more prior, please. No, the basic principle. It starts with the basic principle. The one before that. Yeah. So, Rupali Mastaji, if you can do the basic principle. So basically, you can see how what nectar of devotion is building at is to love Krishna. And why do we have to love Krishna? Because this is what Srila Prabhupada writes. Rupali Mastaji, just the few, yeah. No, just this basic paragraph, the basic principle. It's there, Mata. It's also there, posted. You can do that.
The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to love someone. No one can live without loving someone else. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like a tiger has this loving propensity, at least in a dormant stage, and it is certainly present in the human beings. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love so that everyone can become happy. At the present moment, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self. But there is no information where to repose the loving propensity so that everyone can become happy. That missing point is Krishna, and the nectar of devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy our blissful life.
This is the point. Because, at least our spiritual master says that the only thing that everybody wants in this world is to love and to be loved. But then the question is, where do I reposit that love? In the modern condition, it has become the human relationships and the family and everything has become so strained that people don't know what to do. But the Atma or the soul that has the tendency to love, that can never be extinguished. So you get a pet and love it, because the tendency is never lost. Think about it. Why do you get pet? I remember my neighbor, they had a dog, and that dog passed away. And then I was, it was raining. It was in the rainy season. And then, he had to get up in the morning, and then he put on all the warm clothing and rain jacket and everything. And then I was standing out for some reason. My God, I have to take this dog even during rainy season. Look at it. And because the dog needs to go. And then if you see, what does the dog do? In general, any pet, they cook for you. Maybe they clean the house. Maybe, just maybe they earn money. Just maybe they'll answer your emails for you and answer the phones for you. It's nothing. Why do people do it? Because of this principle that I want to love and be loved. And that love has to be unconditional. The greatest thing the pet gives the owner is the unconditional love. And therefore the master, it's raining, but I have to take my dog out because I love my dog. And Krishna is saying, or the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is saying, that same love, you should know where to repose it. Instead of killing the love, try to know where you can repose it so that that love is perfectly reciprocated. And that is what Nectar of Devotion teaches us. We haven't even started the first verse yet. There's a lot to cover in the first few verses. So far, so good? All right. Yes, Laksh. We'll take, because of the paucity of time, I'll take few questions, but we'll keep going. Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, as you said, one who knows art of loving for Krishna, he's a Mahatma, like Paramahamsa. So, can you give an example, person who has been in material comforts and still was able to have love for Krishna? Any example of that?
Yes, there are many, many examples. In fact, all the congregation members here are one example. So one thing. Second thing is on the scriptural example, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was such a personality. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit. Murari Gupta, he takes Gadadhar Pandit and he says, I want you to meet a great Vaishnava. And they go to meet Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And he thought, Gadadhar Pandit thought, I'll go to a small hut or ashram where he's chanting. And they go. And they go enter into the living quarters of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. The walls were made of the finest materials. And there were beds, soft beds with white fluffy pillows. And everything was luxurious items, the pots and the other items of decoration on the table. There were high quality, luxurious items. And Preeti Gaurangi can give you the luxurious people and the luxurious items you can get. And they were there. And then there were servants that were constantly serving Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He says, getting this stuff. Pundarik Vidyanidhi himself was dressed in the finest of silk cloths. He had well-oiled hair. Yes, everything was perfect. Silk garments, everything was silk. And then Gadadhar Pandit said, you said I'll introduce to you a great Vaishnava. Murari Gupta said, yes. I don't see it. Then Murari Gupta understands the mind of Gadadhar Pandit. he sings a verse from Bhagavatam. Just one verse he sings from Bhagavatam. And that verse is 3:23. And the verse is Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigam sayada papaya yatapya sadhvi leve gatim datruchitam tatonyam kam vadayalum sharanam rajema. So that verse says that if you do the translation, Jaya Mataji, please do the translation.
Alas, how shall I take shelter of one or more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she demon, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast.
And Murari Gupta reads this verse. Pundarik Vidyanidhi hears this verse. He goes into a fit of ecstasy. In his ecstasy, all the pans go flying across the room, all the pots go flying across the room. And then his ecstasy is so intense that he just tears his silk clothing and he is complete, and whole people try to hold, 4 or 5 people try to make him still. He goes into an uncontrollable ecstasy of love of Godhead. And he shows all the signs which is mentioned in the southern part of Nectar of Devotion. And then Gadadhar Pandit said, I made a great mistake. This is an exalted Vaishnav. And he goes to Mahaprabhu, he says, I did this to Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And to recollect and to rectify that mistake, I will take initiation from him. With that, I'll take a break of 2 minutes. I'll feed the baby, and then I'll come back. And if you want to take a quick break, I'll see you in exactly 3 minutes. And we'll start off with the introduction. This is the most important part. All right. Just exactly 3 minutes, 9:34. Hare Krishna, welcome back. Thank you for those who joined online. Can I see once? Akhil Prabhu? Can I see once? Those who joined online. Very well. Thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna. Any questions online before we go? Any concerns? I'll open up for sure a little later. We'll do through the main verse, and then we can get started. All right. We can go back to the slides. Huh? There's a question. Yes. Yes. Mansi Mati, Hare Krishna. You have to unmute.
Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam.
I don't have a question. I just had a realization. I was so confused about the rasa and the mellow, but thank you so much for explaining it in the beginning of the class.
Thank you. All right. We'll go back to the slides. So in the introduction, this is where Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the first verse translation happens. The famous verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is where Rupa Goswami, he offers prayers to Krishna as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. That Krishna is the personification of all the rasas, is the actual deity form of all the rasas. Koladvi Prabhu, little bit less. Thank you. Koladvi Prabhu. Thank you. He says that every single rasa that any devotee has, Krishna is perfectly capable of reciprocating with that. Perfectly. There is no doubt about it. There is no dearth. There is no shortage. You know, in this world, you know, if there is a very powerful person in a corporate, there is one person and people are after him or her to, you know, I need to impress. You get out, I am here. You know, you get out, I am here. But with Krishna, please don't have that. He can expand unlimitedly to satisfy his devotees. In fact, he has already done so. Why? He's sitting as Paramatma in each and every one's heart. He expanded from the heart of an ant to the heart of Brahma. He's sitting as Paramatma. So he already has expanded into that kind of thing. It's a very unique relationship that every jiva has with Krishna. And Krishna is perfectly capable. So the first few verses, up till first 10 verses, Srila Rupa Goswami offers Mangalacharan prayers. And he gives prayers to Krishna. He gives prayers to his elder brother, Sanatan Goswami, whom he considers his spiritual master. He also prays so that this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu will not only please him, but it will also be protected from the people who are against the path of bhakti. He says that the great devotees are like the sharks who frolic in the ocean of pure bhakti rasa, and they don't care for the small other stuff that happens, or small other creatures, that algae and seaweeds, they don't care. They just go frolic in the ocean of bhakti rasa. So he gives some really beautiful, I mean, if we had time, we would go through each of those verses and discuss such beauty, such poetry and such. And then Srila Rupa Goswami also says that personally he expresses his humility. He says, personally, I have no qualification to write this, but somehow or other I am able to write because of mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada also asks the benedictions of his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says, let's pray to him so that I don't find any impediment in writing this nectar of devotion. In that spirit, I also would like to confess, I have zero qualifications to teach this nectar of devotion. This is a great work, and I am engaged only in teaching because of the orders of my spiritual masters, my Siksha and Diksha gurus. And that's how I'm able to teach this. Otherwise, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, or I don't have any qualifications, neither the character nor behavior nor any knowledge, nothing. So, but I'm hoping and praying because of their mercy that I'm able to share and impart whatever little I know. All right, we'll go back to the slides. So after mentioning all this, Rupa Goswami comes to what is called the most defining verse of our sampradaya. Why are we here? So this is, these are some of the things I have written from Preface, but we can just, Mangalacharan is done, the next verse, right? If you want to expand it a little bit more, you can expand it. So in the 11th verse of the first chapter, this is the foundational verse of why we are here. If anybody asks you, what is your purpose of joining ISKCON? Then you say this verse. If anybody asks you, what is the goal of life? You say this verse. If anybody asks you, just tell me why you have taken the vows, why you are doing all this, this is one verse. And please note, this verse will come in exam. Memorize this verse starting today. Because I give few things that will come in the exam. This is so critical, this verse, that every Gaudiya Vaishnava who has taken initiation might at least know what this verse is. We'll get into the deep depth and the nuances of this verse, but at least you should know. So kindly repeat after me. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnano Sheelanam bhaktiruttama Anyabhilashita shunyam Jnana karmadhyanavritam Anukulyena krishnano Sheelanam bhaktiruttama. All right, go for it. You try. Ananda Swarup Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anyabhilashita shunyam
Anyabhilashita shunyam
Jnana karmadhyanavritam
Jnana karmadhyanavritam
Anukulyena krishnanu
Anukulyena krishnano
Sheelanam bhaktiruttama.
Sheelanam bhaktiruttama. Okay, ladies, anybody?
Anyabhilashita shunyam
Anyabhilashita shunyam
Jnana karmadhyanavritam
Jnana karmadhyanavritam
Anukulyena krishnanu
Anukulyena krishnano
Sheelanam bhaktiruttama.
Sheelanam bhaktiruttama. Krishna Prabhu, please do the translation.
When first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy, and fruitive actions. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably, as Krishna desires.
Thank you. So let's take the next slide, please. So this verse actually is what is called the Paribhasha Sutra, or the very foundational verse. If if anybody wakes you up at 3 a.m., Anand Swarup Prabhu, and asks you what is the definition of pure devotional service, you should be able to belt out this verse. So this verse has the pure devotional service to Krishna has what is called the primary characteristics and what is called the secondary characteristics. The primary characteristics are Krishna, Anukulyena, and Anushilanam. We'll discuss each of these. Pure devotional service is meant for Krishna. Anybody has doubt with that? I have some doubts. What about Narsimha or Ram? Does that become pure devotional service or no? But it's just that Krishna. But then he should say Bhagavan. Why Krishna specifically? Why? And the answer the Acharya has given is, so Krishna, of course, Rama and Narasimha and Vamana and every other personalities are Vishnu Tattvas. So they are expansions of Krishna. And the other thing is, Krishna can also mean his devotees. Everything belonging to Krishna, every paraphernalia of Krishna. I'll give a simple example. The Govardhan Shila that you worship at home, technically speaking, is a stone. It doesn't come in Krishna. The idea here is anything Krishna, the expansions of Krishna, Krishna's devotees, and anything related to Krishna, they are all in the category of Krishna. Because we should know the definition of how do you define Krishna. Otherwise, it becomes, Krishna becomes loose. Seriously, think about it. A person who is drinking alcohol will say, I am doing pure devotional service. Because everything belongs to Krishna, everything is Krishna. I am Krishna, this is Krishna, this is Krishna. It can become extremely liberal and meaningless, but if you say Krishna, hey, Radha, why are you worshipping Radha? Only Krishna. Why are you worshipping Prabhupada? Vyas Puja, Guru Puja. Only Krishna. You can see how, if there is no clear understanding of what Krishna means, then you can make it too liberal or you can make it too narrow. So the Acharyas have said Krishna is any forms of Krishna, any paraphernalia. For example, Vrindavan. I worship Vrindavan. Oh, Vrindavan is a piece of land. Why do you worship Vrindavan? Because it is related to Krishna. So that includes in the category of pure devotional service. So this Krishna here means Krishna, his avatars, anything related to Krishna, his devotees, and all the paraphernalia. For example, if you take, I'll take the questions later. You write down the questions because I have a lot of ground to cover. We'll get sidetracked. I'll take questions, Preeti. I'll promise you. So it's Krishna, his avatars, anything paraphernalia. Another thing is, if you take this one, hey, why are you worshipping this? This is related to Krishna. This seems to be matter, but matter, when it is used in service of Krishna, becomes very worshipable. Tadiya. So, we say, we sing, what do we sing in Tulsi? Morai Abhilash. Why are you worshipping Tulsi? It's not. Rupa Goswami said, don't worship Tulsi, only worship Krishna. So you can see how Acharyas have defined what Krishna means. So that is the definition of Krishna. Now, next is, let us take, actually, I should have flipped the order. I'll do Anushilanam first, and then I'll go to Anukulyena. The word Anushilanam means sheel. Sheel is the root of our word Anushilanam. Sheel is a verb that defines action. And those actions are in two forms, body, mind, and words. So you can serve Krishna through your body and bodily activity. You you do arti to the deities, you clean the deity paraphernalia, you make garlands, you sweep the temple, you cook for, so many things. These are actually service of Krishna through our senses, which is called Cheshta Rupa. Shilanam has two divisions, one is Bhava Rupa and one is Cheshta Rupa. Cheshta Rupa is activities, practical activities for Krishna through our senses. And Bhava Rupa is meditating on Krishna through our mind or mental absorption. So Shilanam has two meanings, which is through mind and through senses, Bhava Rupa and Cheshta Rupa. The prefix anu is added. Anu means following, constant, or every day, every minute, based on this. So Anushilanam means constantly serving through either body or through mind. So that is the definition of Anushilanam. This is the second characteristics of pure devotional service. The third characteristics, the third characteristic of pure devotional service is Anukulyena. Anukulyena is, I am serving Krishna favorably. I am serving Krishna without seeing him as an object of envy or hostility. I'll serve Krishna favorably. So these three activities, and I know you have a question, we'll come to that. These three are the primary characteristics of devotional service: Krishna, Anushilanam, and Anukulyena. Anyabhilashita Shunyam is the next thing we'll come to, but these are the three primary characteristics of pure devotional service. The secondary characteristics of pure devotional service is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. That is, that there are no other material desires. Anya means other, Abhilashi means desire, Shunyam means zero. So, but here is the thing though. I have to, thank you, bro. I have to buy a car. And this is a practical example. You have to go to work at 9 a.m. and you go to work at 11 a.m. And your boss, why? I had to walk. Why do you have to walk? Because I cannot buy a car. Because it is not in all the other material desires should be zero. Therefore, I had to walk. The other example is, if you are very sick and you have to go to the doctor, but there should be no material desires. It is zero. Anya Abhilashi Sunyam, it means no other material, zero. It seems very, very, very restrictive. I want to, go to, for example, there are many things like that. Thank you very much, Rishika and their parents. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Another question I have. If you are in some danger, can you cry out, Krishna, please save me? But that is not pure devotional service, no? It is for your own desire. Here is the answer. Srila Rupa Goswami writes, Anya Abhilashi, and he uses the word Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, not Anya Abhilasha Shunyam. There is a great difference between that. Anya Abhilasha Shunyam means I have no other zero material desires except to serve Krishna. But what about all the other things I need to do in this world? I have to, let's not go too gross, but I have to buy clothes. It seems like it's a desire for myself. So the word ta is used, abhilashita means desirelessness, not desires. The desirelessness means my goal of life is only to serve Krishna, but incidentally, if I have to do things to maintain that goal, then I have to do it. It doesn't fall outside the realm of pure devotion. If I have a cancer and then tomorrow I am praying to Krishna, and it has happened in the life of Srila Prabhupada. He suffered heart attack in New York City and he was in the hospital. He said to devotees all over the world, please pray, Krishna, if you so desire, please save Prabhupada. The idea here is incidental maintaining of status quo to serve Krishna is still under the realm of pure devotion as long as my primary goal of life is to serve Krishna with no other desires. I may have other desires, but as long as they fall in the realm of pure devotion. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami has used not anyabhilashi or anyabhilasha, anyabhilashata, anyabhilashata shunyam. That is my only goal of life. Everything else, yes, I have to buy clothes, I have to food. For example, you have to go to, I'll give a practical example. You have to go outside to eat because you have colleagues are going out. I mean, maybe you should pray to Krishna that, my desire is to serve you, not to enjoy any restaurant food. But I'm stuck, I'm having in a traveling position. Maybe I don't have food to eat or I'm obliged to go. Something like that. So it still will fall under the realm as long as our inclination or devotion is that I want to serve you, Krishna. That is my only goal of life. Therefore it is said, Anya abhilashi ta shunyam. I don't have any other desires. Right? And the second characteristics of pure devotional service is Jnana, karma, adi, anavritam. So anavritam, avritam means to be covered. Anavritam means not covered. What is not covered? Jnana, karma, adi. Adi is etc. We'll come to that point. My bhakti should not be covered with a purpose of jnana and karma. Which means, Krishna, I am serving you, but you know what? Just get me to the higher planets. Make me Brahma first, please. Then sure. After that, yes. But that is needed, Brahma. I want to be Brahma. Or, I want to be the greatest philosopher. I need to know so much of knowledge that I need to be famous all over the world. Or, I want to merge into your monism. Again, the thing is, karma and jnana are again have to consider carefully. Well, for example, Ramananda Saka Prabhu is around somewhere. He will say to one of the devotees, you should go and serve Krishna on the altar, do these things. Oh, no. It's not pure devotional service. Why? Because it's karma, activity. And he says you shouldn't do activity. So the idea here is jnana and karma, as long as they fall in the realms of pure devotion, they still are not considered as this. Jnana means monistic, philosophical understanding where God is impersonal. That jnana. And we know this, and in Bhakti, and in the second semester of Bhakti Sastri, we did the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, Jnana Yoga. That jnana where you end up knowing Krishna as impersonal Brahman, that should be the goal. And your bhakti should not be covered by that mentality. The karma is the same thing. I'll do bhakti, I'll need to do this as well, because demigods will. The karma actually includes the Vedic rituals that one is obligated to do. So if your bhakti is covered by this, I'll do this, I'll do that, then your clarity is not goal of Krishna or a love of Krishna. Your clarity is mixed up. So you shouldn't have that kind of motives, karmic motives or having the jnana motives. Without having that, then these two are the definition of the secondary characteristics of pure devotional service. Anukulyena Krishnanu Sheelanam Bhaktiruttama is the first one. Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyana Avritam is the secondary characteristics of devotion. Okay, now Preeti, go for it. You have to use the mic. Sorry.
Prabhuji, so you mentioned about Krishna, and any forms of Krishna and paraphernalia come under that bracket. However, let's say the incarnation of Lord Krishna is also Lord Buddha, but he's an Adi Shakti avatar or Adi Vesh avatar, and Parshuram is also in the same genre. So that also fits into this bracket?
So Buddha is a special incarnation. The reason Buddha is in the special incarnation or a special characteristics or special bracket is because Lord Buddha came to stop the rampant animal killing, and because people were using Vedas to decry or to use as a means for killing animals, Lord Buddha came to stop the Vedic injunctions or the authority of Vedas. And then he reverted it back. And Rupa Goswami, he writes later in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and also in Laghu Bhagavatamrita that while we consider Buddha as an incarnation, we don't necessarily follow his teachings because they were directed to a particular personality. But it's an excellent point that you brought up. Shakti Avesha Avataras, yes, you can worship Shakti Avesha Avataras, but because you worship them with no motive, they will actually lead you to Krishna. For example, Narada never claims himself, okay, worship me, that's it. He is a Shakti Avesha avatar of Bhakti. So Shakti Avesha avataras, you wholeheartedly surrender to them and reciprocate with them, they will give you Krishna. They will lead you to that position. More questions? Yes, Akhil. Yes, Satya Sankalpa Prabhu, please.
So Prabhuji, you mentioned about Krishna means Krishna and Krishna's paraphernalia, devotees. So when that point about like worship of Lord Ram, Lord Varadev, Lord Narasimhadev came up, when somebody worships them, do they also see them in connection to Krishna, or do they, Ishtadev is Lord Ram, like individually?
That's a good question. Can you, if you don't mind, can you please pull up 3rd canto, 9th chapter, 11th verse, please? You can increase the font and then I can... No, just do the Sanskrit first. Sanskrit. Thank you. All right. Maybe you need to increase a little bit. I'm okay to read, but it's fine. Okay. Kindly repeat after me. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrit saroja. Ase shrute kshitapato nanunatha pumsam. Yad yaddiyata urugaya vibhavayanti. Tat tadvapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. You didn't get please, you didn't get a chance to do the translation.
O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you.
So when you worship Krishna, so one of the things is every jiva has their own Ishtadev. And eternally that is the form of the Lord that they are happy with. Initially we worship Radha Krishna, and in ISKCON in Sampradaya when we come in we worship Radha Krishna directly. But Radha Krishna will manifest in the form as we advance to our eternal form that we always have in the Lord. An example is Hanuman, he always sees Lord Ram. That's it. That's his Ishtadev. So everybody has their own Ishtadev, and the Lord, he manifests. That's what this verse says. You manifest yourself in the particular eternal, the word Srila Prabhupada uses, eternal form of transcendence in which the word, there is eternal and there is always. So, helpful? All right. Yes, Laksh and then Krishna. All right, whoever, you both decide.
So, Prabhuji, I have the follow-up question on this. So, what about those people who also worship the demigods, like Lord Ganesha is my Ishtadev? So, and I think Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions
make your faith stronger. But he also says, Yajanti avidhi purvakam, that those who just worship the demigods as the independent supreme personality of Godhead, it is mentioned they are worshipping in an improper way. Because demigods are just eternal servants of Krishna. And if you worship the demigods with no motives, then they will actually lead you to Krishna. Right? So that is the whole purpose. Is that okay? Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, two questions, two small. So, as you said that regarding Anya Abhilashu, like you gave an example, if you want to eat something, restaurant food, but by choice we don't have any option. So, in this case, like we can say that Madhvendra Puri, his condition was like much higher than this because he was fully dependent upon mercy of Lord. And also there is like Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, when Radharani comes and give them material for making kheer. So they were fully dependent. But as you mentioned an example, we are not fully dependent. So how to...
So if you are fully dependent, that's what we should do. In the fully dependent stage, you are so in love with Krishna that you are not even in the bodily platform. You will see when will Krishna eat and when will I eat his remnants. That is the love. That is an extremely exalted stage. And if he wants me to fast for 3 days, let me fast for 3 days. We are not there yet. So one of the qualities of bhakti is that we act on the platform or adhikar that we have today and improve upon it. When we try to force ourselves or even worse, try to imitate those who are on that level, then we quickly realize we are not on that level. So, but here is the deal. You brought up a very good point. If what is taken as emergency becomes routine, then you are degrading yourself. Okay, today is like, I'm traveling and so I have to eat food not offered to Krishna or eat in a place. I do it once. Please give him seat, please. Okay. So if you don't do that, then, every day is an emergency. So you will be degrading yourself. One has to be really careful on that front. You are right. It has to be a very good balance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas. And then he was in such rush to go to Vrindavan. He was day and night absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. And then Nityananda Prabhu tricked him. He was about to go to Vrindavan, but he brought him back to Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur. By that time, Mahaprabhu was fasting for 3 days. He didn't eat anything. And he didn't even notice because of his ecstatic love of Krishna. So if you are on that platform, see, the thing is, why do you need to go and eat at some place? Because you are still identifying yourself with the body and bodily needs. But that level, the body is completely spiritual. There is no consideration of body fainting or falling ill because the body is not provided with food, because it's completely spiritual. Till that stage, you have to have that balance. Helpful? All right. Okay, last question, and then I have, yeah, okay, one more two-part question, correct.
And Prabhuji, in this case, like as you mentioned, like Prabhupada say that devotee never wants to, he always sees a form of Sham Sundara with holding flute and two leg, like that. He never sees beyond that or less than that.
Did I
And
say that?
also, he mentions that like Krishna is 64 qualities and Vishnu is still 60. So Krishna is the topmost in this way. So, like as Prabhuji mentioned, like we see Ram or Nrsimha Dev. So the main goal of devotee is to see the form of Sham Sundar. That's correct, right?
Again, the idea is that everybody has their own Ishtadev or Vishnumurti form, and at one point of time it is revealed. For now, the goal is always to remember Krishna. We'll get into that as we go into the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Yeah, Jambavati, yeah. And that's the last question because I have to move. I have a lot of ground to cover.
Hi Krishna, Srivas Pandit Prabhuji. So I had earlier attempted years ago to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and I was completely like not understanding it. So I'm very grateful to be in this class and to learn it from you. But my question was that what is the best way to approach learning this? Because it can get very quickly demotivating when we start reading about what it actually means, and then you introspect and you realize you're like nowhere in like anywhere close to. So how do we learn this without getting demotivated and approach it in a positive way that will help our bhakti?
Thank you. So there are a couple of guidebooks that are written. One book I have, unfortunately it is out of print. This is called The Waves of Devotion. This was written by His Holiness Dhanurdhar Maharaj. And he actually lays out very nicely. He correlates in a way that's easily understandable. But then the whole purpose of this class will be I'll put in more slides like this so that it's easier to digest, and I'll also forward these slides into the Bhakti Sastri group so you can actually take a look at it as well. So then the other book is Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's book, Bhakti Rasamrita Subodhini. So it also gives, that is available right now. This book is out of print, but that's available as well. These two books actually will be helpful. It's how Srila Rupa Goswami lays out his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Is that okay? But we are here. The whole class is to encourage each other to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and understand it. More, but you had to follow up, please. Demotivated and defeated, one way to do is, and I'll tell you this is a fun exercise. Srila Prabhupada actually gives the Bhagavatam verses, Rupa Goswami gives Bhagavatam verses. So you can actually go see what that verses mean, and then you can actually read the purports of those verses, and that will give you a more deeper, it'll take a little bit more time, but it's fun exercise to do if you have time. And then the other thing is, you will also appreciate the beauty of Bhagavatam, what rasa is coming. See, this book is about rasa, and all the verses from Bhagavatam are mentioned, which means the Bhagavatam is a verse of rasa, book of rasa. In fact, in the third verse of the first chapter, it is said, what is that? Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukhad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi. It says, please come and drink the nectar or the rasa of mellows of love of Krishna. And then when you read this book, then we'll discover that Bhagavatam actually contains full rasa or the nectar of serving Krishna. So that way it will help. We'll take it offline for more comments. Yeah. All right, we'll continue with this. Because it's, how is everybody? We can do a little bit more, over 15 minutes, 10:30 we are supposed to end. All right. So, what are the primary characteristics of devotional service? Devotional service is for Krishna. It is a service or active service both with body and mind. And the third thing is it is favorable for Krishna. And the secondary characteristics is that there should be no other desire. There should be no other intentional desire except to serve Krishna. And then it should not be covered by jnana and karma. Those are the two, the primary characteristics. I have a question though. Other thing with Rupa Goswami is, okay, we'll have to discuss two things. Other thing with Rupa Goswami is he's extremely economical with his words. He doesn't give words that are redundant, repeating, convey the same meaning. He doesn't do that. Very, very compact. Very compact. This verse, we'll take it in that light. The first thing is jnana, karma, and then what is the word after that? Oh, adi means what? Etc. So which means the list is not complete. Correct? Jnana, karma, adi. What is adi? Because I need to know. And the acharyas explain the adi is sankhya, yoga, and vairagya. So all those things, they might not have that kind of impact on devotional service. In fact, it is mentioned that if you perform extreme austerities in the path of bhakti, then one's heart becomes really hard. And Prabhupada writes it, I'm not making it up. You can read it in the Nectar of Devotion. In the introduction, he says that those kinds of extreme renunciations actually make the heart very hard. And then the heart is not receptive for love of Krishna as well. So Vairagya. And then Sankhya and then Yoga, those paths, he says that that should not be the goal. My goal of Krishna Bhakti is that, I can fast for 1 week straight. No drink, no water, and oh my God, what a bhakta. That is not the goal of pure devotional service. So Adi is that. I have a question though. Anushilanam, if I have to serve Krishna Anushilanam, remove Anukulyena. There are 3 things. Krishna, Anukulyena, and Krishna Anushilanam wouldn't be enough. Shouldn't that be enough? Huh? Anukulyena, why? Because Krishna Anushilanam. Well, Anushilanam, doesn't it mean favorable? Yeah, you had something. This is a Bhakti Shastri class, but go ahead, make your statement. You are in.
Answer that question as you asked, right? That why Krishna is not enough. In the sense that he's 64 and 60, because at the end of the day, it's Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh combined together are 3. And we, being the 4th, being the devotee, completes that cycle, and that's how it comes out as 0.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your comments. So please complete your thought. Why should we use Anukulyena? No, sir. This is a class. I'll ask you when I need to. Thank you. Excellent, thank you. So Krishna Anushilanam, Kamsa was exactly doing that. Day and night he was thinking of Krishna. It is mentioned in Bhagavatam that when he woke up, he saw Krishna. When he was eating, he saw Krishna. When he was walking, he saw Krishna. Every thought, his mind was completely absorbed in Krishna. It was Anushilanam, but not Anukulyena. Excellent, thank you. So Anukulyena, Rupa Goswami is a genius. This verse that he composed was in a way that you cannot not have any other meaning. It's a very, very clear-cut meaning of what Uttama Bhakti is. That's why it is so important that we understand. That's why this is the foundational class. If you don't understand what it means, then everything else might lead you to confusion. So yes, Anukulyena is needed because Kamsa was doing Anushilanam, he was doing Krishna Anushilanam, but it was not favorable. So Anukulyena is Kulyena is favorable. Anukulyena is, here Anu and Anushilanam are two different things. Anukulyena means favorable or keeping Krishna happy or doing what he makes happy. Anushilanam means every day. Anu can mean both, constant or for the other's satisfaction. So Anu means, Anushilanam for Shilanam is every day, and then for Anukulyena is good. I have a question though. So, Krishna Anukulyena is better. Krishna Anukulyena Bhakti seems better, correct? So there is Krishna and there is Anukulyena. Krishna Anukulyena Bhakti is better. Why Anushilanam? The answer to that question is that if you don't have Anushilanam, then you will miss the varieties of activities that are done in Bhakti. Krishna Anukulyena Bhakti, I am thinking of Krishna. And Ramananda Saka Prabhu says, you need to do this for Krishna. No, I'm just thinking of Krishna, that's all. That is Anukulyena Bhakti, don't bother me. But because the word Anushilanam is used, Shilanam can be an active verb, which means doing something for Krishna. So Anushilanam includes the varieties of activities that is done for Krishna, both through body and mind. Anukulyena means favorable, and Krishna. Krishna is, of course, the central point. You cannot remove Krishna and make this definition up. So that's why Krishna, Anukulyena, and Anushilanam are used. Rupa Goswami is such a genius. He wrote this verse in a way it is absolutely clear of what pure devotional service or pure bhakti is. All right? And the reason why okay, here is another question though. Krishna Anukulyan Anushilanam. Let's take this example of Mother Yashoda. Krishna was an infant baby. She was doing her household stuff. He walked up and he wanted to drink milk from her body. And Mother Yashoda was feeding him. But suddenly she found that the milk on the stove was overflowing. So she kept the baby Krishna aside. And then she went to take care of the business of overflowing milk. Yes or yes? Was Krishna happy? It is mentioned that he became angry. His eyes became reddish. He bit his lips with his teeth. And he became so furious. And then he, as the story goes, the whole Damodar Lila pastime happens. Where is pure bhakti here? Oh, Mother Yashoda was not doing pure bhakti. She made Krishna angry, not favorable. I'll give you one more example. Varahadev and Narsinghadev, when they fought with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they are getting pleasure. Because there was that Veera Rasa Bhava was coming out. There was like punching, and there like Lord was deriving pleasure. In fact, it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, one of the reasons why Jay and Vijay fell down was because Krishna wanted to enjoy some boxing matches, be the participant, and he really wanted to enjoy that. So you can see two examples of how the devotee making Krishna angry and the demons giving Krishna pleasure. But the word Anukulyena is used because of the intention. Mother Yashoda, and I'll tell you the story of why it happens. She was getting complained that my child was stealing milk and yogurt and butter from other gopis. And Mother Yashoda was fed up with the complaints. She said to Nanda Maharaj, we need to do something about it. Nanda Maharaj had unlimited number of cows, billions of cows. And out of them, there were few select cows that would produce the most fragrant of milk. They are called Padmagandha cows, the most fragrant. Mother Yashoda said, my child is not happy with my butter. And any mother's thinking is like this. If to make my child happy, I will cook what the child wants. And even I have to learn the recipe, borrow the recipe, do this, do that. That is. And if Krishna is your child, then you will go to the ends of earth to make him happy, because that is the Brajaras Bhavan. And then, so she collected the milk, the best of the milk from the Padmagandha cows, and she put it on the stove, that, my child should get butter from this. So in one sense, even though she put down Krishna, her job was for Krishna. So the intentions were anukulyena. Therefore, even though Krishna was angry, it falls under the realm of pure devotion. Whereas Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill Vishnu. So that is the hostile nature. It is not anukulyena. So the pleasure that is Krishna received is not pure bhakti. Whereas Mother Yashoda is pure bhakti. Good? So we need to, this is the foundational verse. You need to understand what everything of it is mean. Otherwise, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we'll be confused on what is bhakti, what is not bhakti. What is, and our goal is pure devotional service to Krishna, if that's what we are looking for. And we should understand this thoroughly. So please take your time. I'm openly telling you, this verse will come in exam. The explanation I will ask also in exam. What is the primary characteristics? What is the secondary characteristics? Explain. And that is will come in exam. And the reason I am doing it is because every Gaudiya Vaishnava should know and understand this basic fundamental concept. And this is called the Parivash Sutra of Nectar of Devotion. Without this, our spiritual life becomes very confusing. Like, what is bhakti, what is not bhakti, what is pure devotion, what is not pure devotion. One should have a very clear understanding. Next, please. Is there a next? Okay, we are done for the day. Let's see if I have some things I missed. Oh, one example that is there. I'll look it up. This is nice. Okay, so this will recap what Srila Prabhupada writes. Let's look up the introduction and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph from the last. Go to the introduction. And Akhil can read this, he didn't get a chance. Because Srila Prabhupada recaps the whole pure definition in this particular paragraph. All right, Akhil, please, the definition.
The definition of a pure devotee as given by Rupa Goswami is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. As given by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu can be summarized thus. His service is favorable and is always in relation to Krishna. In order to keep the purity of such Krishna conscious activities, one must be freed from all material desires and philosophical speculation. Any desire except for the service of the Lord is called material desire. And philosophical speculation refers to the sort of speculation that ultimately arrives at a conclusion of voidism or impersonalism. This conclusion is useless for a Krishna conscious person. Only rarely by philosophical speculation can one reach the conclusion of worshipping Vasudeva, Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself. The ultimate end of philosophical speculation, then, must be Krishna, with the understanding that Krishna is everything, the cause of all causes, and that one should therefore surrender unto him. If this ultimate goal is reached, then philosophical advancement is favorable. But if the conclusion of philosophical speculation is voidism or impersonalism, that is not bhakti.
This point thank you. This point I wanted to bring up because, again, jnana karma jnanavritam, jnana, philosophical speculation. We ask questions, even in bhakti also, we ask questions and so on and so forth. And if that philosophical bent of mind is leaning or leading towards surrender to Krishna. And why Srila Prabhupada brings this up is because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam. So those who are jnanis or philosophical speculators, if after many, many births, they build upon their jnana and ultimately come to the conclusion, Krishna, you are everything, I surrender on to you. Then that sort of philosophical speculation, Srila Prabhupada says, is still okay, but it takes a long time. Don't try that route. If there is an elevator, don't take the steps. So philosophical, but the problem is this though. Jnana, if you try to purely do without the touch of bhakti, inevitably you will end up that God is impersonal. There is no personal form of Krishna, and there is no need to surrender to Krishna. So that it's better to, that therefore Srila Prabhupada actually writes this, because the other aspect of jnana is, you are reading books, hey, you shouldn't have jnana. Why are you doing Bhakti Shastri then? You are spending so much time teaching. Don't jnana, just do chant Hare Krishna. The thing is, any knowledge, then by that stretch of imagination, our acharyas, why did they waste their time? Chant Hare Krishna, everything will be all right, Baba. Why write so many books? The amount of books we have, we can read. In our Gaudiya Vaishnava, it will take few lifetimes, trust me. So, the idea is all this knowledge that helps us understand our Krishna, that doesn't fall under Gyan. And so is the activities of cooking for Krishna doesn't fall under karma. So that has to be the clear definition and understanding. With this, I will conclude today's class. In the next class, then we'll do chapter 1, 2, and 3 if possible. And please understand that Samanya Bhakti ends at the end of chapter 1. So we still are in the first wave of eastern part of Nectar of Devotion. Good. With that, I will, you can share the Zoom link. Zoom, I think, yeah. We can close this and just share the Zoom. Stop sharing and then only the Zoom link so that I can see those who have joined online and take some questions as well. I'll take the questions from them first, and then I will take your questions. All right. Brajamadavi Mataji, Sukomal Radhika, Achyuta Balram Prabhu, Lata, Jyoti, Vidyut Lata Mataji, that few, Shorab, Hare Krishna, Shama Sundari. So happy to see you all. Yes, any questions, Prahlad, anybody, before I go online?
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Mansi Mata, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, I did not realize you said you want to ask questions to the present devotees first.
No, I said online devotees first. Because
Okay.
they have asked their questions, I want to move it to online and then come back to those who are present here.
Oh, okay, so can I go, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
So, Prabhuji, I know you already mentioned in the beginning of the class, but there is no verses. I mean, you just took one verse and we had a whole class on that. But there are verses in the book. It's just whole chapter. And I was trying to see if what you were explaining, if I can find it in the book, but I can't find it in the book also. So how do we study?
I will send a document on the Bhakti Shastri group. We have one devotee who was so kind actually to take all the 2129 verses and he put in the order. And then, so Srila Prabhupada started off with the Mangalacharan. He put that verse before. And then when it came to the second verse, and it is mentioned that Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion covered practically all the verses. He missed few verses in terms of translation. So I'll send that document so you can see the Sanskrit verses and you can see Srila Prabhupada's explanation. So,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
thank you. Prahlad?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, bro. So the question is somewhat apart from what we were discussing in the class. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that worship me, and in short, he says then you will get liberation. So whoever comes to bhakti might feel like, okay, this is a kind of a blackmail, right?
Blackmail. Okay.
Whereas I see that in what's his name? Who dictates Bhagavatam?
Shukadeva Goswami, Vyasdev.
Shukdev Goswami. Okay. So Shukdev Goswami, when he was born, he was liberated, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like Krishna allows you to be liberated without being his devotee, right? So he gives you full freedom, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you explain? How would someone explain this stage? That he still allows you to be at a level where you can not pray him and still be liberated.
All right. Okay, I get the question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or did you have more to ask?
No, that's it. True.
All right. So, first of all, Krishna doesn't blackmail. He says to Arjun, 18 chapters he gives. He gives 18 chapters of knowledge to Arjuna, and he says to Arjuna, hey Arjuna, I given this knowledge. It's up to you whether you want to fight. He says, I have already destroyed all these soldiers. You are just my instrument, so you'll fight. So that is one. I just want to straight off defend Sri Hari right there. The second thing is, the liberation is the Jnana liberation or the impersonal liberation. Shukadeva Goswami in Bhagavatam, he says, I was liberated from material existence, but I had no knowledge of the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna is so exquisitely charming, enchanting, beautiful, and extraordinarily sweet that even those who are liberated are attracted to hearing his pastimes. So when we talk of surrender to Krishna, the devotee is voluntarily surrendering. I want you. There is an intense desire to achieve Krishna rather than the other way around. In fact, Krishna says, we will discuss in the Nectar of Devotion in the next class, which is another important class, why Krishna does not want you. Even you surrender to, as in want you in the sense he does not give the pure love as easily. There are 6 qualities. I'll give the sneak preview of the next class. In the first chapter, Rupa Goswami discusses the 6 qualities of pure devotional service. They are Kleshagni, Shubhada, Moksha Laguta Krita, Sandrananda Visheshatma, Sri Krishna Akarshani, and Sudurlabha. That it's so difficult to obtain love of Krishna. And why is that? So you can see that it is not just, oh, you are forced to serve Krishna. One of the questions I was asked, what happens if I don't surrender to Krishna? Because that person, I was speaking to the Western audience, and they came back from a Christian background where you have faith in Jesus and you are going eternally to hell. If you don't have faith, then you eternally burn in. If you have faith in Jesus, you eternally go to heaven. Or if you don't have faith, then you eternally burn in hell. So he was like, what about Krishna? What is his deal? I mean, he says, I said, his deal is exactly what you are. What do you mean? Well, you have no clue who Krishna is. You are living life. You are enjoying life. And, when the time comes, then you take on a next body. And Krishna is saying, either you worship me and come back to me and live for me ever, or you can live like this, birth after birth. You can take on different bodies and then enjoy and suffer this material existence. So it's out of extremely rare fortune that one even comes to know, aware of Krishna, and then we are eager to serve Krishna. It's not a blackmail. He doesn't care. He cares, but not to the extent that he needs you and he cannot live without you. It's the other way around.
But what form of liberation that Shukdev Goswami is in if he was born?
See, the thing is, nobody is born liberated. Their liberation came about from the practices of previous life. And his liberation was, he was merged into impersonal monism. He saw Krishna as merging into the impersonal form of Sri Krishna.
Yeah, that is what I was thinking about, that the impersonalist thing, right?
Yeah.
That I want to be liberated, but I don't want to serve Krishna. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sukamal Mataji, and then we have, and then we have Achyuta Balram. Shaurav, I forgot your initiative name. You forgive me. Okay.
Sorry, I don't have a question. I just want to say it was a very enlightening class because I really had no clue of where to even start when I opened the book last night. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What is the initiated name of Shaurav? Huh? Surendra Krishna. Thank you. I'll remember. Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes. So, Prabhuji, from a daily reading perspective, what is a good practice to just wanted to hear from you. Like, what is a good practice? Should we read Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion few pages every day, or what is a good practice, Prabhu?
Few pages every day is good, because one thing I will strongly recommend is you will be the most frustrated devotee when you try to cram 1 week before exam. 153 pages, you might think, but actually they cover about at least 500 to 600 verses, like a whole Bhagavad Gita in one session. So there's a lot of things. Take your time, take one page, even 1 page or 2 pages a day. Take time, make notes, and see, if it is mentioned in Bhakti, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, then you can say it is Rupa Goswami giving evidence from Bhagavatam. Try to see what is he giving evidence about. Then you will know, okay, then you can know what is the concept. And then I'm going to send you the document which has actually the Sanskrit. Then you will clearly know what it is. And Rupa Goswami actually, he says, in the 3rd canto, Tritiya Skande he gives. And then, okay, he's giving the here. So it's extraordinarily beautiful and poetic. It is not for nothing, it's not the magnum opus. It is you have to know what is Nectar of Devotion. Otherwise, it will be hard. At least the first part.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Achyuta Balram, Prabhu.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry, couldn't be there. I'll try to be from next class. Prabhuji, one question. When you were mentioning about the waves of devotional service, maybe the Eastern wave, you mentioned Samanya Bhakti and Sadhana Bhakti. I didn't understand what is the difference between the two.
Thank you. So Samanya Bhakti, actually Samanya means common, ordinary. But this is anything but ordinary, because pure devotional service to Krishna is extraordinary. So the only reason why it is mentioned is general characteristics. It's not Bhakti is Samanya. Rupa Goswami was saying, I am discussing the general characteristics. General characteristics is what is pure devotional service, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, that we discussed. The second thing is mentioned is what are the characteristics. He says, when you perform pure devotional service, you should feel some effect, right? They are saying bhakti is good, but if I don't feel the effect, then what's a perform? Then in the second aspect of it, he will mention what are the characteristics of pure devotion. And that we are going to discuss in the next class. So that is Samanya Bhakti. Then Sadhana Bhakti is 16 chapters where it is divided into Vaidhi and Raganuga. So he discusses that at length. So that is the difference between Samanya and Sadhana.
Okay, Prabhuji, makes sense. Yes. So Samanya is just means the characteristics.
Correct. What is the characteristics of pure devotional service? Next class, we'll spend some time on that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for attending the class. Yes, Mataji, Radharani Mataji. So the idea is that Atma, the nature of Atma is to love and be loved. And that you can never ever extinguish that desire of Atma. And in the modern context, we see that, there is, people have pets so that they cannot repress that love. But the whole idea of Nectar of Devotion is through bhakti, how can one love Krishna? How can I reposit that love that is there in my heart since time immemorial to the actual object of the recipient of that love, which is Radha Krishna? And how can I be completely, perfectly, and eternally happy in that mood of exchanging of love with Krishna? That is Nectar of Devotion.
So basically, when we love our children, siblings, parents, that's also love, but then that's limited, and so that is called material love?
Exactly, because it ends with the material body. Yeah, and then you start again. That propensity is never lost, but where the source of that love is, that is the art of Nectar of Devotion that teaches us how to reposit our love for Krishna. Yes, yes. Thank you. And that's why it is said, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhakti adhokshaje ahaitiki apratihata yayatma completely, not prasidati, completely satisfied. There is nothing more. And Bhagavatam gives that. The experience of those personalities who achieved that love, they said, in exchange for this love, I don't want anything. Even liberation is useless. I just don't want anything. I want you and your love. And we'll come to that next time as well. Any other questions? Yes, Jambavati Mataji.
Rishi, when you were explaining Anukulyena, you mentioned hostility and envy, like without hostility and envy. And you gave the example of Kans, which is he was thinking of Krishna with hostility. What is the example for envy? Like any character from our scriptures?
All the demons are generally envious of Krishna. So for example, Shishupal, his whole thing was to blaspheme Krishna. He only could find fault with Krishna, thinking that I am superior to Krishna. Why is he? In the Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna was given the honor of first Agra Puja, or the first personality to receive the puja. And it was everyone, Bhishma and Pandavas and everyone, they just applauded, clapped their hands. Yes, Krishna is the right person to receive it. Shishupal came out of nowhere. It is told that Kali Yuga destroys everybody's brains. It has destroyed yours. This cowherd boy with no practical religion, proper birth, you are giving him Agra Puja. How dare you? And then he goes after Krishna out of pure envy. Because he couldn't stand to see that Krishna getting the first Agra Puja. Is that exam? Thank you. All right. Anything else? So, please, this class is something, thank you so much for giving me the chance to serve you. And I hope to see you in 2 weeks' time. Mansi Mataji and everybody else online. Thank you so much. Vancha Kalpataru.